Ready?
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. We will begin shortly. Thank you so much for joining us. We will begin in about 5 minutes. We have quite a few participants, and we want to make sure that they are able to get on before we begin. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. We are still waiting for just a few more people to come on the line. Just a couple of housekeeping rules with Zoom. Hopefully everyone is familiar with Zoom. I am Stephanie Ray Songbird. We are so excited about everyone joining us today. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping rules. We are waiting for our technical host to set everything else up. Hold on one second for me, ladies. All right. All right. So we have a few people that are trying to get in. Evidently, Eventbrite sends the link 10 minutes prior. So let us give everybody a few minutes. We had over 35 participants to register. So we want to make sure we give everybody the opportunity to get on. Let's see. One second. All right. All right. We're almost to full capacity. I hope everybody is having a beautiful Sunday. Again, the Zoom rules. If you look at the bottom of your Zoom, you'll see the reaction. I know right now everybody has their cameras off, but I want to make sure you guys can hear me clearly. So if you go to reactions at the bottom of your toolbar, there should be the button and you can give me a thumbs up or the hand clap sign. I want to make sure everybody can hear me clearly. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. So it's 3:05. Want to be mindful everybody's time and making sure we get everybody on that registered before we lock the meeting. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Still a few more people logging on that I can see. All right. So happy Sunday. We are going to go ahead and get started and begin. So good afternoon. The Songbird and me thanks you for joining us today as we begin to present and discuss toxic relationships from a woman perspective. We are so excited and we have some awesome speakers that will be speaking with us today. Again, before we begin, I always want to set house rules. First, again, if you are familiar with Zoom, we have the chat at the bottom and also the reaction button. So that is there. We're streaming live on YouTube as well as Facebook. So if you begin to hear what the speakers are talking about, you have questions, the chat is there for those questions. We are very much going to try to be interactive during this shelter in place. We have probably zoomed out. All of us are doing stuff online. So we want to make sure we're interactive and answering any questions. If you're viewing right now, I think I just lost my screen. 1 second. I think I just lost my picture. So if you're familiar, there's a speaker view and a gallery view. So we will actually set it for speaker view once the speakers are available. It may be better for you to adjust that as well so you can see who's speaking, because we have so many people on the call today. Also, we want to reiterate, this is a safe place. We are going to talk about some things that may trigger you. It may make you feel uncomfortable. If you feel anything, whether it's you're sensing something, you feel upset, you feel angry, we want you to know this is a safe place. We want to heal and grow and learn together. But in the case that something like that is going on, we do have licensed counselors that are on the line with us today. Myself is one. You also have life coaches. We have Ms. Pat Weatherspoon Hall. We have Ms. Thesha Jenkins. We have ministerial staff on the call, Deidre Harris Williams. We have London Underwood. So most of our speakers, we are peer counselors or professional counselors and social workers. So as they are speaking, if you have a question that you want to direct to them, something like that, you definitely can go into the chat. And you can message them if you need to. But we want to, again, reiterate that this is a safe place. Okay. And so we are getting ready to start. We are so excited about this. I'm going to introduce our first speaker. I am so excited to hear what she's going to talk about today. So let me introduce to you Miss London Underwood. She is the CEO of Emerald Rising. And this is her organization, and it provides services to enrich the lives of men and women to enhance self-image and awareness. London has an MA in Human Service Counseling, and she is a life coach. She is also an author. Please visit her website. It's emeraldrisingllc.com to check out everything that she does, from workshops to image consulting, and also the new ebook that she just released this year. It's the Year of Freedom. And so I'm excited about that. I looked at that the other day, but in the midst of everything going on, we are still free. There is a year of freedom. There is change. We can be changed and we can be transformed. So London will be speaking to us today about image, about self-worth, and about awareness, especially as we are tackling the topic of toxic relationships. So London is going to say or speak on, do you like you? And I'm turning it over to London Underwood at this time.
Hello, everybody. Thank you again, Stephanie, for that introduction. Stephanie said it all, so I'm just going to go into it. I started my life coaching business just because I saw the lack of self-esteem and self-awareness in the women and men that I was working with, and it kind of just went from there. So today we're going to talk about, do you like you, in terms of being in a toxic relationship. Most people think that when you're in a relationship, that other partner is toxic. All of a sudden, he's doing things to you and he's saying things to you. He's toxic. But do we ever reflect to see if we were toxic first, or we attracted a toxic person because we were toxic to ourselves? So that's what we're going to kind of dive into today. It's plenty of layers. It's deep. It goes deeper and deeper, but we're going to say it at the surface because I only have like 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm going to start just with this thought. And since this is the women's perspective, my first thought is, your outer appearance can attract any man, but what's inside is what determines what kind of man stays around. And so just because I work with a lot of people and I help them with their image, just because you look good on the outside doesn't mean that your mental and emotional being is well enough to maintain a healthy relationship. And what that means is, and what I'm going to do is, because when I talk from experience. So as I'm talking to you, I'm speaking to myself. And so for me, I can say, people, you think if a person just for a girl that's maybe very pretty, she's very pretty, and how can she let somebody treat her like that? Or why is this person doing this to her? How can she allow that? She's so pretty. That's because internally that person doesn't know who she is, or she might not know her worth. You might look good on the outside, but the inside is what really keeps you making the best decisions for yourself. And so it's very important that we have our emotional and mental together to have that healthy relationship. When you don't like who you are or don't know who you are, you become attracted to people that will give you that sense of self-worth, give you that boost of self-worth. And what I call it for myself is that savior complex. And what I define that is you're looking for others to fulfill you and deem yourself worthy based on the attention and actions towards you. And so for me, I can remember just in the dating field or being in a relationship that I defined myself based off what other people thought of me. I thought, if this person tells me I'm beautiful, then I'm beautiful. I didn't have that in my head first. I didn't have that definition to give to them. I wanted them to define me. If I'm worthy, if they love me, I didn't have that thought that if I love myself, that's what makes people love me. So I gave people that savior complex where I'm looking for them to define me more than anything. And that's where that toxic cycle starts. So when it's easy for you to see others worthy when you're not sure who you are, when you don't like who you are, especially intimate partners. So you start to believe what they say about you, regardless of what it is. So it can be something good, it can be something bad. It gives a chance when you don't know yourself, you don't like yourself, it gives other people the chance to define you. So in relationships, they call you stupid, you start to believe it. They call you fat, you start to believe it. They say you aren't going to do anything or going to be anything, you start to believe that. How we kind of get to that situation is hurt people attract other hurt people. And it's not that it's something that you go out and you see that this person is broken because you're broken, because more than most times you don't know that you're broken. And so it's just that subconscious thing that you're reaching to people that probably need you as more as you may need them. And that's how that other cycle of toxic behaviors start. So when you are hurting and you have a partner and you're kind of attracting the person that may be hurting as well, they will take advantage of those weaker parts. And sometimes, I'm not saying that the person tries to do it on purpose, they might not even know it because they're looking to be filled just like you're looking to be filled. Because they have their issues on their own, they need you to validate them more than you know. And that's where the control and manipulation comes in. When you're not firm in yourself and your capabilities, or have the confidence to really focus on your needs and wants, you try to meet their needs as well. And usually you're failing more often than you're not. So for me, just for example, I would, because I needed somebody to validate me, tell me that they love me, tell me that I was beautiful, I was doing everything that I thought that they wanted me to do. But because hurt people attract hurt people, I was not meeting the mark every time because they didn't know what they needed as well to feel fulfilled. So it's more backlash on me that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do to make them happy. And so if you can see, is this person is needing to like them and know who they are, and I needed to like myself and know who I am, so we can be whole together and not trying to fill in holes and that the other person can't feel. So what we choose to stay around in our lives is linked to our self-esteem. So how we feel about ourselves, what we like, just the things that we won't tolerate, is all linked to how we attract to ourselves. So the questions that I ask when I go through these self-esteem workshops, or I talk to people, it's like, who am I? Like, what do I really like? What's healthy for me? What makes me unique? What makes me strong? These are questions that you should always often ask yourself. So that kind of puts you in the forefront, because when you have a toxic partner, they're not trying to help you figure it out. They're still trying to have that control over you. So they would rather you not answer those questions either. So before you get into relationships or start getting to dating, you need to know these questions. You need to be firm in in your answers, so these people or another person can't define you. Some takeaways I want you guys to take away from this. Um, just remember, the best form of yourselves make the better decisions for your life. Take the time to get to know yourself, even if you have to be alone for a while. And I know during this pandemic, it's been hard because I'm at home by myself, and it's easy for you to want to talk to somebody or just have somebody around because this can be crazy times. But sometimes you have to be by yourself. You have to really take the time to see what you like, what you don't like, even write that down, just so you can always be aware of it. The next point, someone loving you feels nice, and that's a great feeling to have, but loving yourself is better, because when you have that type of love, most people can't come in and break that down. We have to have those boundaries. So knowing yourself and loving yourself helps protect yourself, and it helps put up boundaries. I'm not going to front and say that I had the boundaries firm forever. I'm just learning the boundaries, and it feels great when I can tell when somebody is not for me and I can say no, and I can walk away from that situation. So boundaries are very important, and it can be very hard because in a place where you don't love yourself or you don't know yourself, you're so scared of, if you say no, what would this person do? Is this person going to leave if I say no to this, or if I don't like this, are they going to still like me? But that's when you know if a person is really for you, when you set those boundaries and they follow through. And that's how you build those healthy relationships. Coming from a place of peace and joy and genuine happiness, it would be hard to let an unhealed person come in and try to break that peace. So just piggyback of what I was saying. Once you're firm inside of yourself and you start to love yourself and you start to know yourself, people coming in, they're going to try to come in. People coming in, it's going to be very hard for them to put you back in that situation of where you're unsure about yourself and you're feeling down on yourself. You set the precedence of how people treat you. When people see that you respect yourself, that your head is on straight, you're a whole person looking for somebody to add to you instead of fill those holes that may be missing. They have no choice but to step up. Either they're going to step up or go with your flow, or they're going to flee. And most of the time, if they're not ready and they're not healed, they're going to be gone, and be okay with them leaving. Just some steps to start liking yourself. Explore what you like to do, and affirm yourself daily. So look for things that you like about yourself and affirm them. And if it's even just your smile, I have a beautiful smile. I look beautiful when I smile. Just affirm yourself daily and just kind of move along and just build that confidence within yourself. Explore the things that you don't like and change the narrative to a positive. So for me, I always give this example in my workshops that I don't like my legs. I have the skinniest legs in the world. And so that's something that I cringe when I see. However, I changed the narrative to a positive. If I didn't have my legs, I couldn't walk. Couldn't be walking into my purpose. So that's how you change you change your things that you don't like into a positive. You find something that is why this is essential to my life. For your internal being, be aware of your feelings and allow yourself to feel the good and the ugly. So whatever you're feeling, acknowledge that. Write it down. I'm a person that I have to write it down so I can get it all out there. Write that down. I'm feeling this way, and I think it was triggered by this. Knowing your triggers is also helps with diminishing toxic behaviors as well. It's another topic in itself, but the next thing is trust your intuition every time. Sometimes I'm scared of my intuition, but if you feel like something is not right, you don't like how something makes you feel, explore that and trust that it's not good for you and be able to walk away. Don't be afraid to reject the things that are not pleasing to your soul. Like I said before, when you don't know who you are, you don't like yourself, you're scared of that rejection piece because you just need that validation. But when you're starting to step into building that self-esteem and that confidence, you want to be able to reject the things that just does not feel good to you and be okay with that. And just know that when you do that, what's for you is going to come. You're making room for what's for you to come. And start your journey from healing from any past or trauma. So most of the time we get to this place of not liking ourselves or not knowing ourselves because of something in the past, or we might have trauma, we might have pain, and we always try to kind of hide that because we don't want to deal with it. But you have to heal, because when you're opening up other relationships, that piece of you carries with you. And I know for myself, I had fear of abandonment and rejection because of not having a present father. So that's what I looked for, was people to fill that void for me. And I didn't heal that. And so I'm looking for anybody to fill that void. If somebody says, oh, she's beautiful, oh, I think I like her, I clung to that because I wanted just to fill that void. And that's just not something that you can do with other people. You have to heal that first. And my last thing is, there will be some people that will try to break through this process for you. I like to call it the string test. I get tested often, but with the confidence that I build and the confidence that you build and the smile that you created and you keep on your face, the word no becomes your best friend. And I thank you for this time to allow me to talk. And I hope you guys took something away from it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, London. That was wow. Do you like you? You said so much. I mean, I really wanted you to keep going. I mean, the savior complex, that thing is something that is that we do we just do it. It's something, I don't know what that is, but yes, that what you just said, a mouthful. Such a great job. We attract what's on the inside of us. So if we don't feel this is good about us, we attract those type of people. I heard you say 3 questions that you ask yourself. Who am I? What makes me unique? What makes me strong? It is important for us to set boundaries. That's a lot of our problem. We have no boundaries. We just let everybody come over everybody come on over here. Y'all can come on over here. And then once we get hurt, it's like, we got to learn how to set boundaries. Boundaries are very healthy, especially when we're dealing with relationships. And change what you don't like into a positive. Because why? You have to like you. You got to look at the person in the mirror. You are everything that God created you to be. Big eyes, full lips, all what I say earlier, all this melanin, big face, big cheeks. This is what God created you to be. So you have to look in the mirror and face yourself and change what you think is negative into a positive. And you have to do the strength test. I love that. And do not let anybody interrupt that process. And she said that no is going to become your best friend. And it's okay to say no. Oh, no. And it's okay to be all right with them not liking it. But sometimes you just got to say no. Protect your peace. I agree with that. So thank you so much, London, for that. Do you like you, ladies? Men, everybody on the Zoom call, do you like you? All right. So at this time, before we move to our next speaker, I'm going to see who's been listening, right? I probably did a recap and probably gave you too much information. But anyway, we are going to raffle off or give away a ticket for a conference that is coming up on August 1st. It's called Healing from Brokenness, and it is being presented by Genesis Rejuvenation Center, where Miss Pat Weatherspoon Hall is the founder and the CEO, and she is one of our awesome speakers today. And so I am going to ask a question. This is why the chat is up. So let me clear the chat. Everybody's still giving London her kudos. I love this. So let me clear the chat, so I'm making sure that I am fair so we can give the prize out properly. All right. Hope you guys can hear me. So, all right. There was something that London said, and I've already said it again, but I'm going to throw it out there. And whoever responds first will get the prize. So she talked about questions that you ask yourself. And so there were 3 questions that she asked. So I just need one of those questions. What are the questions that she said that you asked yourself concerning you? Remember, she's talking about, do you like you? So I want you to go to the chat and respond. So if you guys have access to the chat, the question is, somebody already got it. Yes, yes. All right. Who am I? That's right. Okay, who am I? All right, thank you so much, Miss Nikisha Dennis. She is our winner of the first giveaway. Please make sure if you registered on Eventbrite, I should have your email address. But if not, could you please put it in the chat? You can send it directly to me. Send it directly to me. Congratulations to you, Nikisha. This is going to be awesome. All right, so let me write that down. Miss Nikisha took away our first giveaway. Thank you for listening. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is some good stuff. Congratulations. All right, so we are moving on to our next speaker. So let me talk a little bit about this powerhouse that is coming. I had the opportunity of meeting her. It's been now about 2 years since I met her. I am completing my graduate program, and I ended up doing my clinical where she works. So I want to talk about this powerhouse because I love her dearly. She is a wealth of knowledge. Miss Thesha Jenkins is the training director with Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council located in Houston, Texas. This is where she works. She trains there. It's where she oversees and develops curriculum and community outreach and trains our law enforcement. She trains our healthcare workers, educators, clergy, so on and so forth, to raise awareness about recognizing, responding, and referring victims of domestic violence. She is also a keynote speaker, a certified coach practitioner, and owner of Bold Professional Consulting, where she specializes in building healthy relationships, communication, cultural competence, and overall emotional intelligence. Again, I said this is a powerhouse. And Ms. Thesha will be sharing with us today on recognizing the signs of a toxic relationship. Miss Thesha, we need you. You're on mute. I'm so sorry. We can't hear you. Are you on mute? Hold on. Are you on mute? Let me see. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can add your audio. That's interesting. Okay. 1 second, Miss Thesha. All right. All right. So now it is showing muted. I want to make sure you're connected to your computer audio, Miss Thesha. 1 second.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you now. Just
Okay.
can't see you, but we can hear you. Okay.
All right.
There you go. Yes, ma'am.
We're going to keep it moving.
Yes.
Thank you, Stephanie. All right. So again, let's kudos to our first speaker, London, and we can get some thumbs up. And in response to her question about, do you like you? Do you love you? I want to see in the chat box just a rush of I love myself. I love me. So if I can just see a rush in the chat box of I love me. All right. Kietis, I believe, I apologize. Onika, I love me. Yes, 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 yes. I love me all day. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Yes, I love me. Now, here's the thing, is that when we're talking about toxic relationships and specifically domestic violence, otherwise known as intimate partner violence, that it can be difficult to say, I love me, when you are in the midst of a relationship that has you constantly second guessing yourself. So, what I want to share with you in the time that I have allotted is recognizing the signs of being in a toxic, abusive relationship. The information I'm going to give you comes from what we call the power and control wheel. And if somebody would type that in, power and control wheel, and then on your own time, I encourage you to go to Google University or YouTube University and type that in so that you can get that information, power and control wheel. What we know based on the power and control wheel, back in 1984, 150 women were asked the question, so help me understand why you're choosing to stay in the abusive relationship. And 150 women began to share about the things that were occurring in their relationship that had them doubting themselves, something that Lenore Walker, the author of The Battered Woman, calls learned helplessness. That in the midst of being in an abusive relationship, sometimes we feel helpless. And in the midst of feeling helpless, sometimes not even being able to look in the mirror and say, I love myself because of the things that are going on. So hopefully you have pencil and paper, and I'm going to go ahead and dive into eight signs that the relationship is toxic and actually abusive. 8 signs. So number 1 is what we call verbal and emotional abuse. In the context of an intimate relationship between partners, verbal and emotional abuse. As London said, if you're constantly with someone who is telling you that you're stupid, you're ugly, you're too fat, I don't like your natural hair, why are you going back to school? You're too stupid. Why are you applying for a job? You know, one woman shared with me, she was a registered nurse. She was from another country. However, it took her 3 years to find a job. Why? Because her partner would constantly tell her on the day that she was going in for an interview, your accent is too thick. No one will ever hire you. So for 3 years, even though she had immense earning capacity, she chose not to go on those interviews because she felt that she would not be hired. So that is a sign that if you're in a relationship where your partner is consistently tearing you down, and that's the thing, it is a pattern of behavior, This is not a once in a while thing. This is something that happens on a regular basis. So number 1, in your relationship, does your partner consistently tear you down, verbal and emotional abuse? Number 2, isolation. And here's the thing with isolation in the midst of this pandemic that we're going through. For many of us, all of us, stay at home should be the safest thing. It's the one way that we're going to flatten the curve on COVID-19. Unfortunately, here in Houston and Harris County, we have seen a 50% increase in family violence, which is inclusive of domestic violence, a 50% increase. Since the beginning of the year, we've had 44 homicides that are related to domestic violence. And so in a toxic relationship, what happens is that the abuser, the toxic person, they refuse to allow you to have family and friends. They question everything that you do. I've worked with clients that their partner would actually check their odometer when they got back home. That, not being able to go and see your family, not being able to work outside of the home. In 23 years of doing this work, I have worked with countless women who were not allowed to work outside of the home, not allowed to go to college, had to drop out of college. And all of this is a part of isolation. And what happens with the person who's in that toxic relationship, with the verbal and emotional abuse, they begin to doubt themselves, their self-confidence diminishes. With the isolation, the person in that relationship begins to think, I don't have anywhere to go. How am I supposed to make it on my own? And when there's a language barrier, that person may not have been able to learn even the English language if they're here in the US. And so how do they go out and navigate within the world? Isolation, if they have a physical disability, depending upon the partner. So verbal and emotional abuse, isolation. Next is what we call minimizing, denying, and blaming. Minimizing, denying, and blaming. And the way that that plays out is that in an abusive relationship, so if I am the person who is toxic, if I am the person who maybe has that low self-esteem and I want total power and control over Stephanie, things that I may say to Stephanie is, you said that you want to talk about our relationship, that you don't feel safe and that, I'm always embarrassing you. Well, I wouldn't embarrass you if you would learn how to dress when we go somewhere. Yeah, I told you you look tacky, but you brought it on yourself. You know that in the midst of this COVID that my company's getting ready to do a furlough and you bugging me about these bills that need to be paid. You bugging me about this. Yes, I lost my temper. Yeah, I cussed you out because you're so stupid. What happens is that eventually Stephanie begins to take on that mindset. I am stupid. My partner's doing the best that they can do. I do need to learn how to dress better. I do need to lose 40 pounds. It's my fault that my partner says and does the things that they do. It's my fault that my partner is cheating on me. So with minimizing, denying, and blaming, the person, the survivor in that relationship takes on that toxic mindset of it's my fault. I need to do more to make my partner happy. So verbal and emotional abuse, one, isolation, then minimizing, denying, and blaming. Using children. Using children is another tactic in an abusive relationship where the abuser may tell the person in that relationship that if you leave me, you will never see your children again. And I'm going to make you pay child support and you're not going to be able to see your children. If you leave me, I'm not buying the kids' school supplies. If you leave me, I'm not going to make sure that you have enough Wi-Fi to do homeschooling. So if you want me to continue to take care of that child, you better do what I tell you to do. So many times when a person's in a toxic relationship, there is a fear of losing their children. There is a fear of meeting just the basic needs of your child. Then we have what's called economic abuse. Economic abuse. And along with using children and economic abuse, those are probably the two biggest factors in an abusive relationship where a person begins to feel hopeless, where a person begins to feel as though there is no way out and that I'm going to just have to stay here and take this. With the economic abuse, and I want to make something very clear. People tend to think that if someone is well off, that if someone has a good education, that they have a good job. Well, what I want you all to know is that in 23 years of doing this work, I have worked with the individual who did not have a high school diploma, no GED, and I've worked with a person who was a PhD candidate. The one commonality that they had is that neither one of them had access to financial resources in that relationship. So in a toxic relationship, what economic abuse looks like is not being able to work or having your partner to redirect all of the funds to their account. One individual that I worked with, she made well over $100,000 a year. However, all the money was directed to her partner's account and she was literally given an allowance, And so in the midst of that relationship, a person chooses to stay because yes, I have a good education, I have money, but the thing is, I don't have access to money. I don't have the PIN number. And that also goes back to all the verbal and emotional abuse that's happening in that relationship, because I know someone's thinking, well, then just take the money out. Well, it's not as easy as that. And I'll cover that in the next thing that abusers use to gain complete power and control in a relationship. So the economic abuse leaves that survivor in that relationship feeling as though they aren't able to leave because they don't have the financial ability in which to do so. Another young woman that I worked with, I remember doing an intake and she was about to leave and her young son came up to her who was about 5 years old and he simply said, "Hey mom, on the way home, I'd like to get this snack." And she began just to cry profusely. I brought her back into the room and I looked at her and I said, "So tell me what's going on." And she looked at me and she said, "Ms. Jenkins, I'm such a horrible mother. I'm a horrible mother." She goes, "My son wants a snack and it only costs 99 cents. And I can't buy that for him. What kind of mother am I?" She goes, "My husband, he never gives me any money. And now that I've left him, he's not given me one dime. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to put gas in the car? How am I supposed to buy groceries? How am I supposed to eventually get my own place? And I can't afford a 99-cent snack." So yes, many women and men will stay in toxic, abusive relationships, and it's directly related back to money. Another tactic that abusers use is intimidation. Intimidation. And what that looks like is waking up in the morning at 3 o'clock and your partner is sitting at the foot of the bed cleaning their gun. What that looks like is your partner giving you that look that many times parents give children when they've done something that the parent disapproves of. You know the look. So with that, how that plays out is that maybe I am interacting with Stephanie and I'm saying, hey, Stephanie, after this event, let's go out for coffee. Stephanie's partner just simply gives her the look. And Stephanie immediately turns around to me and says, oh, Thisha, girl, you know what? Let me catch you later because I think we got some plans, okay? What happened there? The partner didn't say you couldn't go. The partner didn't yell. The partner simply gave a look, and that is intimidation. Having someone cleaning the gun in the middle of the morning at 2 or 3 a.m. is a message that's being sent that I'm always watching you and you can never get away. So many times people living in toxic relationships are living under immense fear. Fear. Another behavior that happens in toxic relationships is male privilege. Now, again, this power and control wheel model was created in 1984, and it was based on interviews with 150 women. Yes, we recognize that men are also in abusive relationships. However, 95% of domestic violence victims are women. And so I'll also talk about decision-making privilege. However, within the context of male privilege, what often may happen in a toxic relationship is that we as a community, that we also reinforce that toxic relationship with things such as, you have to stay for the sake of the children. You have to stay because divorce is not permissible. You have to stay because you made those vows. Well, here is the reality. In 2018, in the state of Texas, 174 women died at the hands of someone who said, I love you. 174 women in Texas in 2018. And again, there have been 44 homicides. Here in Houston and surrounding Harris County, there have been 3 homicides. Young woman just put to rest yesterday that her partner kicked the front door in, shot her multiple times, and also shot her 4-year-old child in the face. So, and that goes again, though, back to not wanting people to leave a relationship because of the covenant of marriage. And marriage is definitely something that we should be supportive of. However, when it comes to the idea of male privilege and being submissive, submissiveness does not equal being hit, shoved. It does not equal being called out of your name. It does not equal fear of losing your children. It does not equal living in fear. Now, the flip side of male privilege is decision-making privilege. So we know that indeed 1 in 10 men are in abusive relationships. And so the same things that we've talked about as far as the isolation, the verbal and emotional abuse, the intimidation, are the same characteristics that women will take on in an abusive relationship. And yes, just as it's difficult for women to reach out, it will be even more difficult for men to say that this is happening to them. However, keeping in mind that that behavior of being submissive many times leads to being in a toxic relationship. Next is coercion and threats. Coercion and threats. And what that looks like within the context of an abusive relationship is that I may say to Stephanie, well, you know, I see that you want to leave me, but you know what? I happen to know for a fact that you have not paid your taxes in the last 5 years. And I bet the IRS would love to get a hold of you. Or maybe what I've heard from sometimes with nurses, that if you may be in the healthcare field and maybe your partner is encouraging you to quote unquote use the goodie key, that you may take meds. And then when you get ready to leave, your partner may say something like, well, I'm going to call the nursing board and let them know that you took those pills. But here's the reality. You took the pills because you were under coercion and isolation and all the other things that were going on in the relationship. Side note, 50% of women who are incarcerated have a history of domestic violence. 50% of women in abusive relationships that are incarcerated. So give me some feedback and let me know if this is helpful for you. Now, as I get ready to round my time out, Now that we know what the signs of an abusive relationship are, what the toxicity looks like, what I want you to be able to then ask yourself is it time for me to get a safety plan? Is it time for me to leave out of here? Now, here's the reality. The average woman in an abusive relationship will leave the abuser 7 to 11 times, 7 to 11 times before they actually leave for good. So I'm going to give you top 3 things. There's actually a list of 20 things that's part of a danger assessment that domestic violence advocates and law enforcement use to gauge the lethality of a relationship. And when I say gauge the lethality, it's about, will this abusive person physically harm the survivor in the relationship or kill them? So I'm going to give you the top 3. And I want you to do a think back, or if there's someone in your life that you think may be in an abusive relationship, think about the last 12 months. Think about the last 12 months. So in the last 12 months, has that person left their abuser? Separation is an indicator that that person will be physically assaulted or killed. Separation. Why? Because the abuser's whole goal is to gain power and control. And each time that the survivor leaves that relationship, the abuser recognizes, whoa, I may actually lose this person. And so therefore, their need to possess is even stronger. So has there been any separations in the last past year? Secondly, does the abuser still have access to the survivor? If she or he has left the abuser, does the abuser have access? And by access, I simply mean, do they know where the survivor works? Do they know where the survivor goes to school? Do they know where the survivor worships? About maybe a year and a half ago, we had about 2 homicides where the abuser actually went into the house of worship. So does the abuser have access? And number 3, has there been strangulation? Has there been strangulation? And what we know based on research from McKay Consulting out of Austin is that when there has been a history of strangulation, that the survivor is 700 times more likely to be killed. Somebody put in the chat, 700 times, 700 times more likely to be killed. And when we talk about strangulation, we are not talking about choking. So we want to be very clear that when a report is being made to law enforcement, that we use the correct vocabulary, because in the state of Texas, strangulation is a felony. It is a felony in Texas. And so the difference between strangulation and choking is internal. Choking is when I take a sip of this water and it goes down the wrong hole and I go, that's choking. Strangulation is when someone puts their hand around my neck, they push me up against the wall, and maybe they hold me with their forearm against my neck. Strangulation is if my partner lays on top of me and they're significantly heavier than me. Strangulation is when my partner puts their hand over my nose and my mouth. Strangulation is when my partner maybe puts a pillow over me. Yes, and strangulation is also a knee to the neck. That is strangulation. All of those impede our ability, they impede our airway and our ability to breathe. So all of those things. And here's the thing, it's intentional. To strangle someone is intentional. And I may be not correct on this, so please go fact check me and Google this. I believe that under 7 minutes without air, an individual will die. And so if someone's ever said to you, oh my God, girl, he choked me out. And girl, I urinated on myself. Girl, he choked me out and I saw stars. Girl, he was choking me out and I woke up like 10 minutes later and I didn't even know where I was. That is a person who has been strangled, and that person should also get follow-up medical care. Because what I also want you to know as I'm wrapping up my time now is that strangulation can also lead to traumatic brain injury. So talking about trauma, there's also a lot of individuals who are walking around here who have been strangled, who may also be suffering from traumatic brain injury. I hope that this has been beneficial. And again, going back over those 8 characteristics, all of those can lead to a mindset of not being able to love yourself. Again, in the chat box, I simply want you to put, I love myself. And love yourself and love those around you enough to reach out for help. You are not alone. All right, back to you, Stephanie.
I love myself. Say it with me. I love myself. Thank you so much, Thesa. Just to reflect, I was looking at the 8 signs and I know they were posted in the chat. But I can think back, thank God that I'm still here. I did Google fact check this thing. Let me just read what I found. So the brain can survive for up to about 6 minutes without air, after which the heart can stop. If CPR is started within 6 minutes of cardiac arrest, the brain may survive the lack of oxygen. But after about 6 minutes without CPR, however, the brain begins to die. There goes the traumatic brain injury. So thank the Lord that I have all my brain cells because I can remember a time. And when I was listening to what Thesha was saying about the top 3 things, where you know you may have to need to put a plan in place. It may be time for you to leave this relationship. One is there's been separation in the last 12 months. Does the abuser have access to you? And has there been strangulation? And when she said about, strangulation is them laying on you or their pillow on you, it's intentional. So I don't know why I feel like I need to say that. We not playing. You putting a pillow over my face, that ain't cute. That ain't pillow talk. You trying to take me out. So thank you so much for that good information to know, because I think a lot of us, we don't think like that, especially depending on our background or where we came from. I'm a fighter, so I can fight with the best of them. But if you're trying to put a pillow over my face, it's intentional. You're trying to take me out. So if you are experiencing any of that, again, as I said when we first started, this is a safe place. We have counselors here. We have therapists that are in this call. We have life coaches. We are here. If you are going through this and you are at that point, please, please, please reach out to one of us in the chat. You can reach out to me and I can direct it. My name is in the chat. It's under Stephanie Hayes. You should see it on my screen. But yes, this is serious. This is important. If you are experiencing any of this, you may be in you are in a toxic relationship. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm looking at the chat, getting me distracted. Yes, I need a moment. Yeah, take a moment to breathe. Yeah, let's do that. I love that. Let's take a moment. Everybody breathe in, right? This air. Can you imagine somebody trying to take it from you? Especially, look, we in a pandemic now, right? And I don't talk about this a lot because I know it's real, but imagine somebody going through this in the midst of where we got to walk around. First of all, I can't breathe with this face mask on. So I definitely don't need to be around anybody that wants to intentionally stop me from breathing. So take a deep breath in at this moment and just thank God for the air that you breathe. If you are in a healthy relationship, thank the Lord. If you have come out of something and you are still here, just thank the Lord. But if you are experiencing this, again, I'm going to say it, you are in a toxic relationship. And you need to get out. You need to get out safely. You need to get out safely. You need to get out in one piece so the restoration can begin. Yes. Yes. Thank the Lord. Yes. All right. I'm going to be quiet. Let me get ready for the next person that's coming up. At this next person, she is near and dear to my heart. I want to introduce Arthur Deidre Harris Williams. She is a minister. She is a mother. She is a motivational speaker, but most importantly, she is an overcomer. She is the founder of Top Shelf Mentoring Services, where she is instrumental in helping teens overcome peer pressure through spiritual healing and empowerment to live favorably. She has authored Will to Live, a testament of God's amazing grace and his miraculous healing powers. She has also been a co-author of Women Who Inspire Greatness. She is also my big sister. And you know how those big sisters are. They have such a way with words. So it is so befitting as she comes to us in her own way with the words we speak and the things that we accept.
Good afternoon to each of you, and I pray you all can hear me very well. Again, yes, as Stephanie said, I am her big sister, but she's the bossier one, I'm telling you the truth. But we get along well, and again, not only am I an author, am I a mother, but I am also a survivor. So I want you guys to be familiar with one thing. As Miss Thesia stated and brought out some wonderful points, Toxic relationships have no color agenda, they have no age agenda, they have no wealth agenda. So it doesn't matter if it's relationship, friendship, kinship, partnership, if it does not add value to you and who you are and your purpose, then it has the potential to become poisonous to you. And that's what I want you guys to understand. And so the piece that I want to be reading today is entitled Toxicity. If I could replay that whole scene again, you know that I would never say it again, that our love is at its end. You know that I would kind of ease on back, let confusion pass on by. I took the fool's way out. Oh yeah, without one good reason why. Now you see, ladies, a lot of us grew up listening to Natalie Cole sing that very song, talking about how bad and how sad it was to be living alone, when inadvertently she was teaching us to deal with some toxic stuff. But we're not dealing with that anymore. If a man wants to leave, let him. Ladies, call his bluff. You see, but first I want to tell you about my story and the words that were spoken to me that had me catching all kinds of hell and dealing with toxicity. You see, in the beginning, he was oh so nice and sweet to me. He complimented me. He was polite to me. We were bound to be because he was down for me. Oh, and he saw the queen in me. So he made me feel like a queen. He not only wanted me, but he needed me. Spending quality time catering to me. Even if he was busy, if I called, he suddenly became and made availability. So I thought I'd found the one, you know, the right one who was going to fix all the relationship hurt from my past. And all he talked about was us being together. So of course this had to last. You see, he understood me, could relate to me, said he never met or even had a relationship with another woman who was as smart or as cool as me, nor as strong as me, saying all the right things to my unhealed inner woman and the things that I needed to hear. He was uplifting to me, encouraging to me every time he was near, until he wasn't, and I couldn't because he wouldn't and he shouldn't let me be the things that he said I was, nor be the things that he said he would be. I kind of felt the things had changed. I knew they were no longer the same. I had become a little unhappy, but he smelled so good to me. You know, he was like fresh air that I breathed until I couldn't because he wasn't, because he tried to take my breath. He meant every word when he said he loved me to death. Till death do us part was taken to an extreme because divorce wasn't an option. So he vowed we'd be together by any means, even if it meant him creating me and putting me in a grave. Being bipolar was a bad habit. I could never determine just how he was going to behave. From a gentle, loving, green-eyed soul to Mr. Hulk with a side of Dr. Hyde, he'd say, "I'm sorry, sweet thing. I made a mistake." It was something about the way he called me that nickname that seemed to hold me in my place until the hole became tighter and it became stronger and I could no longer catch my breath. The pain of my toxic lover was somehow literally and physically and mentally strangling me to death. He had taken me to heights unknown in such a wonderful love affair, and then to places that I swore I would never be. I was that chick that said, "I wish a man would put his hands on me." But it's interesting how love has a way of dragging us and taking us into places and spaces that we thought we'd never be. It can happen to the best of us. All it takes is one glance, one smile, one, "Hey, excuse me, miss, you've got such a beautiful face." The right words spoken to a vulnerable heart, creeping in at just the right but truly the wrong time, allowing toxicity to slip in, trying to conquer our hearts and our minds. Some are just a little trap of the hidden things beneath. Some you don't recognize or realize until you're in way too deep. All these things destined and eventually poison your soul. Some minute and subtle, some straight out bold. And somehow, all that he was and all that I had become was total toxicity rolled up into one. And now he wasn't good for me. He wasn't good to me. And I was the only one being bound because he was emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually holding me down. He complimented me less, but he complained to me. Didn't want others to see how he no longer made me feel good, but not even good enough for me until I wasn't. And he couldn't. And I wouldn't, because he shouldn't try to stop me from breaking free of all the things that I knew I was supposed to be. Like, I wasn't, but I was. So I did, because I could and I should be able to break free and find that one last piece of me, of my former self, lingering. I found her. I rescued her. She was waiting inside for me to leave. She wanted as much as I did to break free. So I devised my own plan to bring this end to this nightmare about. It was going to be over because I was done, without a doubt. By any means necessary, now on my terms, I was going to get out. I cleansed my search. I purged my mind and my thoughts, withdrawing like an addict, forgetting and fighting back the urge to give it up, or should I just take one more hit? I had enough. I had become the second addiction for him, and apparently he was mine. But I wanted to be clean. I wanted to be whole again. I wanted my liberty, to have the relationship that I always knew I was suitable for and deserved to be, one that was toxin free. So I found a new love, my first love, who gave me life that I was longing to see. I thought that she had long forgotten me and that she had abandoned me. Someone who made me feel good the way love was supposed to be. But I understood that I was no good to anyone until I rediscovered and fell in love with me. So I freed myself, devised my plan to escape, leaving the poisonous infatuations that had been taking place. I no longer wanted anything to interfere with my peace or my peace of mind, nor would anything stop me from being great, because I'm a free bird, a songbird. I should never be caged. And that's how I left toxicity and all of its rage. So again, you guys, thank you for this time. And I just want you guys to know that it is so important, again, that you love you. And there's nothing like, we don't understand the hurt that we deal with from our past. We don't understand how childhood issues and memories can be drugged into our adult lives. And we're looking for confirmation from other people. And that's not who we were designed to be. We are designed to be loved and to be loved. So keep that in mind. And again, thank you all and blessings to you, and avoid all the toxicity.
All right. I'm just, man, I'm over here. Like the kids say, I got bars. Thank you so much, Deidre. I just, man, it was just so much said in that moment. Wonderful, awesome job. You have definitely inspired me. Virtual snap, 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 snap. Yes, toxicity. I found me. I am free. I'm a free bird. I'm a songbird. I purged my mind and my thoughts. I found the one that truly loved me. I found me. I am her. So for the men that's on the line, I don't want to, if there are men on the line. So yes, I am he. Look, I am he. Let me not leave you out. I am he. So I am her. I am he. I am free. So thank you so much, Deidre, for that spoken word. That was beautiful. Before we go further, we are going to do another giveaway at this time. So again, thank you all so much. I hope that you are getting something out of this. Hope we are healing and growing together. These ladies have prepared, and I know, like I said, I'm so excited that they accepted this to come and speak. They are a wealth of knowledge, and I am so blessed by them accepting the invitation to speak about toxic relationships. So let's go back a little bit. As Thesha was speaking, and she talked about the 8 signs, there was one particular sign, and I'm gonna act it out because I'm a clown, but I want to know. So basically, when you hear it or when you know what sign I'm acting out, then put it in the chat, and you will be the next winner of our giveaway for the Heal from Brokenness conference that's coming up on August 1st by Genesis Rejuvenation Center. All right, so I'm gonna clown this out. So let's just look. Where you going? Where you think you going? Yeah, this guy. I think that was too easy. I heard somebody laugh. Y'all supposed to be on mute.
My bad, that was me.
Yes, where you going? Where you think you going? You see that gun over there? You see that gun? Walk out that door. Yeah, that door right there. Walk out that door and see how quick I get to my gun. Yeah, walk out that door if you want to. Yeah, nobody's gonna hear from you again. They ain't gonna hear you. They ain't gonna smell. They ain't gonna even know you gone. Ain't nobody gonna miss you. Harpo. Somebody called me Harpo. Thank you so much. Anime. Get over there and sing that song like I told you to, Anime. Now sing this song. Sing it now. All right, I'm through. Off my side. So our winner is Kiadis Hayes. So yay. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Kiadis. We will get your ticket to you. Thank you for everybody that's putting up with my impersonation. Somebody just called me Ike. All right. Ike and Harpo. Okay. Thank you so much. Let me write that down. All right. We are getting ready for our next speaker, which will segue. Since Kiadis actually got the giveaway, we're going to go ahead and segue because she is going to be our next speaker. So let me tell you a little bit about who this lady is. All right. Lady Kiadis Hayes is the first lady of the Shift Church Dallas, where she serves alongside her husband, Pastor LaTerrence Hayes. She is a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a forerunner for building healthy families and relationships. She is also an entrepreneur, and she owns Royalty and Glam Bosses, VIP, where she is a fashion guru. If you've ever seen Kiadis, man, she can put some colors together that you don't even think about and make them pop. Her and her husband and her children. So she is a fashion guru, and she is also a paparazzi consultant. $5, get your $5 jewelry. All right. And so her motto is adding spice to a woman's life, one paparazzi set at a time. So I'm just plugging in and doing promos right now while I wait for our technical host to bring her up. But get your $5. You can talk to her later. And Lady Kiadis will be talking on why am I here? Convenience versus covenant. Go ahead, Kiadis.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope everybody can hear me. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. All right, because I'm on my computer today, so it's a little different. But Miss Stephanie already introduced me. She kind of gave me a whole lot, but I thank her for that. I thank you for the opportunity. Yes, I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I wear a lot of hats, and a lot of this stuff today is very good information, and it's very helpful. But my topic today is why I'm still here. Why I'm still here. And I know a lot of these things can kind of trigger some things, but I wanted to start off with a situation that happened here recently with a classmate of mine. They found her in her home where she had been viciously murdered by a boyfriend. And there were signs that was there and things that had happened, but those type of things are things that you just kind of your worst nightmare, and you just really don't want to ever be in a situation like that. But some women find themselves still there. And why are you still there? So we're going to talk about why I'm still here today. First of all, I'm here because I never saw what it was really like, or what a relationship was really supposed to look like. I didn't get that when I was growing up. I didn't get how to form good relationships with a mother, how to form a good relationship with a father, because I had an absent mother who was there, but she only provided monetarily. I had a father who left at 4, so didn't really see much of a male perspective. So I didn't really get how a relationship is supposed to. Let's know a marriage is how a marriage is supposed to be. So I had to really, within myself and through life and through situations and circumstances, had to learn how to be in a relationship, had to learn how to love, had to learn how. I had to do all these things on my own. I had to learn the hard way. I had to go through some things. I had to fall on my face. I had to lose some things. I had to make some mistakes. I had to do all that because I didn't get it from my upbringing. So I had to understand the difference between what was convenient and what was covenant. Okay, so that's my topic today. I know I'm still talking about why I'm still here, but I just want to break it down to convenient versus covenant. And you have to understand the difference, and you have to be okay with it, because some people come into your life conveniently and some people come into your life as a covenant. Okay, and let's talk about those things. So for the convenience, ladies, and men, because you're not exempt, he or she supported me when I lost loved ones, when I lost things, when I lost my car. They were able to give me money to pay a car note or to buy me a new car. He helped me financially when I lost everything, when I lost my job. He was close to my family and my friends, so I knew him. He knew he knew what I like to eat. He knew what I like to drink. He knew all those type of things. So he was conveniently there every time I needed a drink, or every time I needed this or that. He was always at my family's house. We were high school sweethearts. We were college mates. He knew how to go to a basketball game, or let's go do this, or let's go do that. He knew how to get me in those places where I just didn't expect. Okay, we have history together. We don't have to learn each other. We already kind of know, because we go in and come out together. We know all the same people. We go to the same church. He works with me. He lives close to me. The major one, the sex is wonderful, if I can say that. We had a baby together. I just got out of abusive relationship. So now he's my comforter. He's the one that's there for me to cry on his shoulder. He understands me. I'm trying to fill a void from my divorce. I got daddy issues. Simple as that. He's there. He can hold me. He can show me all these he's just convenient. Everyone said we should be married. We shacking. We fornicating. This is an entanglement that just went way too far. Now, we facing reality. Now we getting married because of this convenience. So we just got tied up because it was always there. It was always right in front of me. I could touch it, I could taste it, I could feel it. We could go here, we could go there. It was convenient. But let's move into the covenant. What I had to understand, that convenience is not always the best way, because just because it's always there does not mean that it's the best thing for you. So the covenant is the place where it's truly designed by God. It's ordained by God. The convenience was good. It looked good, but the covenant doesn't feel good, and it's very uncomfortable at times. We had nothing in common. We come from two totally different backgrounds, two totally different families, two totally different ways of life. We never seen each other before. Never knew this person from Adam or Eve. It's taking time for me to get to know you. It's taking time for me to learn your quirks, for me to learn what makes you angry, what triggers this, because you came from a different background as well. From a toxic relation, from toxic families or toxic relationships. So now I gotta learn your triggers. I gotta see what makes you angry, what makes you sad, what makes your heart tremble, what makes you mad. I try to leave, but I'm reminded of why. Why? Because there's purpose in a covenant. When you're in this covenant, there's always a purpose. I'm hurt, but I gotta toughen it out. Why? Because there's purpose. He completes me. He makes me whole. That's covenant. Because when you're broken, he can strengthen you. She can strengthen you when you're broken. They can pray for you. They can give you that peace that everything is going to be okay. But you have to understand that in the covenant, sometimes it can look a little convenient. Let's just be honest. Because things can go back and forth, back and forth, and things can look a little familiar. But what you have to do, you have to learn the difference between the two, because they can become a little familiar. But because you came from a background where you didn't know, you didn't have that set foundation. So things can sometimes, when you're not healed, when you're not free from things, those convenient things can sometimes creep back in and make your current situation look like it's convenient. You have to get healing. You have to be healed. You have to be healed from those convenient things. You have to be healed from those convenient things. You know why? Because if you're not healed from those convenient things, you'll go back to the convenience and you'll discount the covenant. So sometimes you just have to move from, you have to stop expecting so much from people. Like, I think our biggest thing in the convenience versus covenant is the fact that we expect people to be a certain way. We expect that marriages should look a certain way because conveniently you've seen everybody here doing their marriage looking this way, and they're doing this, they're getting this and they're getting that. Well, your marriage may not be that. Your relationship just may not be that. You can't predicate your situation on everybody else's. But what you can do is identify what place you're in, individually and collectively. But first of all, you need to identify that individually. Am I just here for convenience because of what you just said? Or am I here truly because I want a covenant partner? I want a covenant relationship. I want someone that can really, truly understand me in my darkest place, understand me in my hurt zone, understand me when I can't even understand myself. Because that convenient relationship, you'll never get that from anyone, because it'll just be total turmoil. The covenant anticipate those experiences of life in which marriage and unexpected twists and turns reaches deeper and becomes more absorbing, and it pulls more out of us than we've ever anticipated. The worse, the richer, the poor, the sickness and in health, all those things comes with the covenant. All those things comes with the covenant. Understanding the relationship as a covenant, it establishes between, again, I'm speaking of husband and wife because I'm married, but long-term relationships, wife partnerships of a whole life in which they are mutually hand over hand and they accept each other and can greatly empower and enrich each other. In a convenient relationship, y'all, I'm telling you, people gonna just walk out because it's convenient. If you stop the money train, if you stop the cookie, if you close the cookie jar, they're adios amigos. That's it. They're out of there. They're not trying to hear anything else because they was there for one reason and one reason only. And once all that stops, then you can just say goodbye to that. Okay? But when it happened, what happens when your covenant relationships turns convenient? I just talked about that. It starts to look like the very toxic situation that you was familiar with before. What do? Is it time to leave, or are you just gonna stick it out? My sister before, Miss Thesha, just talked about it. She just gave us the 8 signs showing us um what the signs are of an abusive relationship. Take heed to those, because even if you feel as though you're in a covenant, it was God ordained, but there's still those signs of an abusive relationship or toxicity there. It's time to leave. Don't know if, ands, buts about it, because you don't want to be in this situation just because everybody say like the good old days, and like people say, old folks say, stick it out, hang on in there. But then 40 years later, you're in a place where you're not happy or you're unhappy, and you're just there because of the children, or you're there because we established all this together. And that's still toxic. That's still toxic, because you're not there for all the right reasons. You're not there truly to grow and build things. You're just tearing each other down because you're not happy with this person. Or do I stay and work things out because it's purposeful? Now, purpose is always covenant. But when the purpose turns toxic, you need to reevaluate your relationship. When the purpose turns toxic, you need to reevaluate your relationship, because now you have to ask yourself, why am I still here? Why am I still here? Am I still here because it's just convenient and I don't have a way out, and this person is just here for me, and I don't have the finances to do this. I have kids now. We have a family. Has the purpose changed? You need to reevaluate. So, if you leave here today and you're in a toxic relationship or any kind of toxicity, whether it be a relationship, a marriage, a family relationship, why are you still there? Is it for convenience, or is there really truly a covenant partnership or relationship there? And if not, sever the tie, cut it off, and don't look back. Thank y'all.
My. Like Johnny Gill. Yeah, not the church folks. I'm playing. Anyway, thank you so much, Kiatis, for that. I think the most powerful thing that I know I saw a lot of comments going on. But when the purpose turns toxic, you have to reevaluate your relationship. So once it turns toxic, is there purpose in us even continuing this? Is there purpose in us going on? If we're gonna go on, toxicity is not gonna get resolved if we don't deal with it. So you can be attached to your purpose, and if they're broken or they're still working through some things, okay, and you can see that. But if we don't get any help, we're gonna be toxic 40 years from now. So if the purpose has shifted and toxicity has settled in, why are we here? You have to heal. The other thing I thought about is if you're codependent, if you're there for convenience because you were codependent because of the kids, and now the kids leave the household, what are you going to do? What's going to happen? There is purpose in the covenant is what she told us. And if you can walk away too easily from it, is it truly covenant? Is it truly purposeful, or is it convenience? So thank you so much, Lady Hayes, for telling us about convenience versus covenant. Covenant is everlasting. Covenant has purpose. And those are kind of some of the things. All the speakers have brought things and questions that you can ask yourself. Every speaker had a sign or something that they question themselves with in dealing with relationships, whether it's a relationship with your significant other, whether it's a relationship with a mother or a father or a child. But there are takeaways that you can ask yourself. For those that are seeking to get into relationships, these are good things that you can take away. Is this convenience? Is this covenant? Even from the part starting from the beginning. My sister sent me something the other day about a phone call. It was about a young man calling a young lady, and one of the pastors was preaching and saying, when you answer that phone call, you are potentially setting yourself up to alter your purpose and alter your destiny. And so I took that as such that even in the beginning stages of how are you, my name is, I need to know what purpose you serve in my life, because I do not want to conveniently connect to you and you alter my destiny, or you take me out of the lane that God has purposed me for. So even if you have not started a relationship, a lot of what we're talking about today, again, this is a woman's perspective. So a lot of things we are talking about today has to do with relationships with significant others. But even in the beginning stages, you need to get to know who you're going to be connected to. If you see these signs and you don't even know their birthday, I'm going to tell you like those commercials, run. Run fast, run quick, and run away. Get out. Yeah, get out. Thank you so much. At this time, yours truly, we are going to present something. Deidre just posted, what do you want with me? What do you want from me? And I think it says, what do you want for me? We are having a couple of technical difficulties, so I had to put these headphones on to do the next presentation. If you guys can hear the music, someone give me a thumbs up. This was working before we got on, but regardless, we are going to move on. This has been awesome. Again, just so much information has been shared. I hope you guys are healing and being helped and be able to grow. I know I will. All right. So let me play this music. If you can hear the music, give me a thumbs up. It's time for me to go. I can't live like this anymore. I can't take it. I gotta go. I don't know why you can't see the poison. It's taking over me. And I don't know why you can't hear the yelling, ringing in the air. Oh, and I don't know why you can't feel the pain. We know it all too well, yeah. I think it's time for me to leave. Toxicity, toxicity. I was your drug, and now I'm not enough. But you're poisoning me with your toxicity. And all the games we used to play, all the things we used to say, has turned around and damaged me. Toxicity, yeah, 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 yeah. I think it's time for me to leave. This narcissism is killing me. I really, really wanna be free. I choose me. Oh, I choose me. No more, no more. I won't play this game no more. At this time, I am going to bring up our next leading lady, our next speaker. I just am so thankful again for everyone that is present, that has signed up for this conference. These are things that we should talk about. I'm 43 years old, and some of the things that I have healed over the last few years, if I could have learned these lessons as a young mother, as a teenage mother, as a young wife, if someone would have came alongside and just had a conversation with me and provided some of the tools and the nuggets that we received today, I think how much differently would I have lived my life. But what I want to encourage everyone that is on the line today, nothing is without purpose. If it had no purpose, you would not have gone through it. And if you are here still living and breathing, whatever your situation is, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a circumstance, whether it's convenience, there's nothing done in God's eyesight without purpose. So you are here today, and I thank you all for being here with us. We can grow together from this, if nothing else. If this is not your situation, you've got tools to help someone that crosses your path. We cannot continue to live in dysfunction. We cannot continue to be unhealthy. We need to be healthy mentally, physically, and spiritually, so we can help our children, so we can help our brothers, our sisters, and those that we serve every day. So again, I just thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. This next speaker that is coming up, the next speaker, I love this lady. I have known her now since I've been in Houston, probably for the last 6 or 7 years. And she is such an awesome woman, sweet soul, awesome woman of God. I present to you Carlicia, better known as CJ Johnson. She is the mother of 3. She's a daughter. She's a friend. She is a sister. She is the founder of Woman Strong, located here in Houston, Texas. It is a nonprofit organization where she works tirelessly to bring all women together, to encourage, to empower, and to inspire one another to be better, to take care of themselves and their communities. CJ is also a successful business owner and an entrepreneur. She owns 22/7 Printing, where she brings your creations to life. And she is also a seasoned hair professional, and she owns Anointed Hand Salon, a giant in the community in word and in action. She will be sharing about the transition.
Hey ladies, hey queens. I hope everybody is enjoying the program thus far. I'm sitting over here just in awe. It's been a blessing to be a part of such a platform, and Stephanie, sis, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to be able to speak on the platform today. We're going to go ahead and just, if y'all can, just clap it up for the women that have been before me. My notebook here, I'm jotting notes down and everything, trying to make sure I can go back, and my whole page is just covered up with more notes. So today I am speaking, I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. Today I am speaking on my transition. And it's so crazy that this would be my topic. I've been through a few transitions in my life. Now, the only way I can deliver this message is first of all, for me to be completely transparent with you guys. I feel like relatable is always the way to get you to understand the message at hand. Anybody can tell you what to do. I can stand here and tell you, leave. But if you cannot relate to me, then it's kind of going to go in one ear and out the other, because it's going to be like, I'm telling you what to do, but how do you know that I did it? So let me go ahead and break that down to you and tell you why your transition, once you went through all of the points all the way up until this point, you've recognized who you are. You asked yourself, do you love you? You figured out, hey, this may be a toxic situation. And then you ask the other questions, should you still be here? You make it up in your mind, this probably isn't best for me. I'm going to tell you about the transition because it starts with you. The definition of transition is the process of changing one's state or condition to another. Basically, that is telling me that when I have a made up mind, I can change my process by converting the state of my situation to another. So it doesn't have to remain as it's been. I have the power within myself to change it. I want to go ahead and speak on that a little bit. I have been through several transitions in my life, not just relationship wise. We're going to talk about family wise, coming up with a mother that was going through her own was going through life. A lot of things happened to me that I did not understand. I'm 37 years old, and I just now, a couple of years ago, was actually able to go through a very important transition in my life after losing my brother, my younger brother from stage to stage 4 colon cancer going on 4 years ago. I finally got tired of a certain kind of pain. I had already left my ex-husband a couple of months prior to my brother getting sick, but that didn't cause me to want to sit and deal with why I'm here. So it was a few things that would lead up until my transition. And when I got to the root of the chaos, when I got to the root of the pain, it took me all the way back to things that have happened in my life between the relationship between my mother and I. I'm not talking about my mother. I love my mother dearly, but there were some things that as a mother, she did having children that would take us through life, and learn behavior would come into the situation. So I would take those things into my future with my children and in relationships and whatnot, and just a bunch of things that would come and make sense later. I had to go through it. Like Stephanie said a minute ago, it was part of the process. So now we go back to I'm digging, and I finally get to the root of what my real issue is, and I have mother issues. My dad, he was there, but my mom caused him not to be there. So I was old enough to have that conversation and figure those things out. But it's my mom, and I'm still loving my mom, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but there's a fight going on because I don't understand how, as a mother, you couldn't sit me down and we couldn't talk about some things, or you want me to do as you say and not as you do, but I'm looking at you, I'm learning behavior from you. So then these things set in and I move forward in my life where I began to have relationships. I had my daughter, my oldest daughter, I was 16 years old. Should I have had a child at 16? No, I should not have. I should have known what would come from playing mamas and daddies or playing like I'm in a relationship that young. It was going to be other responsibilities that were going to come with that, but I didn't know any better. But when I found out and I learned some things through my pain and through those processes, and after digging and wanting to be better and understanding that there is a purpose for everything that I've been through, having my own children made me want to transition. I transitioned out of a bad marriage. I transitioned out of a bad relationship with my mom. We actually were able to put things on the table and sit and talk about it, but I had to let go of a certain expectation. One of my sisters talked on that a minute ago about expectations. I had an expectation for my mother to love me. When she decided that she wasn't going to love me the way I wanted her to, because she's doing only how she knows to. Now then my feelings get hurt in the process, and I'm out here looking for other things, and I'm putting myself in certain situations. But now I'm in these situations and I feel like I have to stay because I have a point to prove. My point to prove is I can do this. I can be the one to be better. I can be the one to have a successful marriage. I can be the one to make these. No, you can't. You want to know why I can't? Because I'm still broken. I'm not healed. So now I go through my process of asking myself, who am I? Why am I here? Why do I choose to stay here? Everybody know the movie, What's Love Got to Do with It? With Ike and Tina. There is a moment in the movie where she tells her friend, I just can't leave because I know what it feels like to have somebody to walk out on you. Well, she's speaking from a place of abandonment from with her mother. So now in her mind, she's attached her feelings to the feelings of somebody being able to come in and manipulate her to keep her around, but she's so messed up in the head that she doesn't understand. That has absolutely nothing to do with you. If you're being mistreated, it is okay for you to walk away. Your mother, the pain that your mother caused you by abandoning you should not dictate what you allow people to do to you. But when you're broken, those things can be misconstrued and it can be very confusing, because when you're healed, you understand, yes, I do have certain rules. I do have certain guidelines. If you can't come in here, you can't treat me respectfully and reciprocate the respect and the loyalty and the love I'm giving, you do not deserve. You don't deserve to have the peace of CJ, the peaceful CJ, the CJ that shares, laughter, loves, and you don't deserve any of that, because what I do understand is the Spirit recognizes that you're actually here to take, and you're here to take from me, because you recognize the Spirit that's in me, the love that's in me, and you know by attaching yourself to me, you may get some of that. But what you don't recognize, us when you're broken, what you don't understand is a Spirit recognize the Spirit and it will attach itself. So where they say people that are hurt seek out people that are stronger than them, sometimes that's not correct. Sometimes you're still broken. Sometimes you're still going through your healing process, and familiarity will confuse you. Familiar is very confusing, because where you think you have gotten over something and you think you've gotten to another step, another phase in your life, the enemy will come in to say, let's see how advanced she is. Oh, she's not lonely? Well, let's bring somebody else into her life that she's familiar with, that she's comfortable with, and see if she'll step back into a place to where she came back from. You haven't transitioned because you're still broken, and there's still more healing that has to happen. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, this between us, this our safe place. I just went through another transition. I had an ex-boyfriend. I dated him back when we were 24 years old. He came back in my life, and I was like, not thinking just, okay, we're going to be friends. Everything is going to be good. And guess what? It started off good, but then I started to see that familiar spirit from back in the day where I left him back in the day. It was the selfishness and being all about himself. And that's not me. That's not what I want. I've spoken to God, and I've told God what I need in a husband, and God knows what I have to give, and I know what I deserve. And when I recognized it, I had to ask myself, do you stay and deal with it? If I was lonely and I still had some issues going on within myself where I was worried about if a man was going to be next to me, I would have stayed and I would have put up, because familiar would have confused me and would have told me to stay. And I would have conditioned myself because of the situation, but because who CJ is. And I thank God that I continue to go through certain things, because I get to see myself, the growth. I get to see myself. I get to recognize when I went through something, and now I have the tools to utilize it, not to go through it again. Even though we got close, but I said, no, this ain't it. This ain't good. And I transitioned myself right up out of it. After deciding not to deal with it anymore, I was a little sad. I'm gonna tell you why I was sad. I have 3 children. I have a 20-year-old daughter, I have a 15-year-old son, and I have a 7-year-old daughter. They've seen me walk away from a marriage. They've seen another relationship not work. Then now here we are where they're seeing another relationship not work. I wasn't sad because I left him, because I love me and I come first. I was sad because I was looking and I was thinking about my kids like, oh my God, they're going to see another situation not last. And I had a conversation with my older daughter the next day, and she asked me why I was sad, and I told her why. She said, Mom, you cannot look at that way. She said, what you're showing us is how not to settle. That did something to me, because how many of us actually have conversations? Were y'all able to talk to your parents about why they were going through what they was going through? Why was it so much hell and chaos in the house, and you had to just sit there and pretend like your mom and your dad had the perfect situation, or your mom and stepdad or stepmom, and we all had to pretend like everything was okay. But as a kid, It wasn't okay. So then what I did was I took what I saw and I went into my own situations and started sticking around just because I saw other people pretending and sticking around. But then when that light bulb came on, I was like, no, that's not for me. And so I got the confirmation that it was okay for me to walk away by talking to my daughter, because that's who we claim that we stay in these situations for, is for our children. But when you actually sit and you talk to your children and you find out, now they've been waiting on you to go because they know you're not happy. Kids have feelings too. And you know, if you're a person that's in a situation and stand in the situation because you feel like, how my kids gonna look, and trust, have a talk with them, let them tell you their point, and you go from there. So I have a few things that I'm going to end with, and I'm praying right now that the delivery is not too harsh, because I don't know how to sugarcoat. I don't. If you want it, if you want change, it begins with you. Stop asking yourself, how can I? And start praying and asking God to get you to where you can. You can do anything that you want to do. Don't let comfort stop you from getting to your purpose, because anything worth having is definitely worth working hard for. If you settle because he has money, or you settle because she treats you good, as far as cooking and cleaning, and these are things that you don't have to do for yourself, I'm here to tell you today, you don't love yourself. If you can't do anything alone, or just on account of you doing it, it always got to be somebody else that's attached to you getting it. You don't love yourself, and you're still healed, and you're still broken, and you actually need to go ahead and continue working on you. I pray to God that you receive this in the way that it's supposed to be received. I'm not calling you weak. I'm not calling anybody stupid. What I'm telling you is, I've been there before. You are still broken. You are still you're still battling some things, and you need to continue working on you. If you worried about how you're gonna take care of them kids, because you was in this situation, you had babies with him, he was good then, he ain't good no more. You already know that. Chunk that up and go on about your business. Get you a second two or three jobs if you have to take care of your children. Because at the end of the day, even if it was a bad situation, you still had them. And now you have an opportunity to show them how to be better adults as well. So pack up your stuff. Let your kids know we're gonna do this, and you do everything that you possibly can to make sure that you give them the life that they need. But we're not talking about financial wise. We're talking about tools for them becoming healthier, dealing with their mental health. It's not good for kids to be in a situation where you're pretending that everything is okay, but they're seeing. And kids are smart. Kids are smart. They're paying attention to everything. And the last thing is, when you want to walk away, and I think one of the previous sisters, she spoke on this manipulation. When you want to walk away and they get the if you leave, I'm gonna do this, da, da, da. I wrote this down. Manipulation becomes the source of confusion. Manipulation becomes the source of confusion. And what I mean by that is, if you've asked yourself all of the questions, do you love you? Why are you here? What is the purpose? And the answer to those questions are not lining up. It's probably because it's time for you to move around. But if you allow the manipulation from the other person to sink in, and you start feeling bad about wanting to do something for you, wanting to make some changes for you, that's when you know it's really time for you. You don't even pack your stuff. I mentioned to myself yesterday that I knew we would be doing this, and I said, some bags, when it's time for you to go, some bags you don't even need to take. You leave them bags right there, because if you pack some of that stuff up and take it with you, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna get it in a situation of, look at this, I probably need to go back. No, leave all that stuff right there, and you go and you get yourself into a position where you can continue working on you for yourself. You are nothing to nobody until you are the best version of yourself. That's in any relationship. That's in any friendship. That's with your kids. And I'm gonna tell you this last point, and then I think I'm over my time. I think I am. This last point is when people know that they can manipulate you or you're weak as far as just needing a presence or something from somebody else, they can play on your every move. You better get a spirit of, I don't care, bye. That's what you have to do. And you have to wake up every day and tell yourself, it is perfectly okay for me to say bye. It is perfectly okay for me to be okay with the no. Go on about your business. You have to, because if you don't, it's a spirit thing. And if you don't get that in your spirit, then it's easy for a manipulative spirit to come back by and rip you into shreds and leave you there and go on to the next victim. I need you to understand, if it ain't you, it's going to be somebody else, because the majority of the manipulators, they just want to find somebody. They just looking for somebody to prey on. And so it's okay if you tell them no. Guess what? They're going to say what they got to say. They're going to go about their business and find them somebody else. And you're going to be stuck right there wondering, why me? Why again? Ladies, I love you guys. I pray something has been said that touched you guys. And again, this is not a beat up session. This is a safe place. And we're coming from places of we've been there before. And I want you guys to know it is okay. Yes, run, Forrest, run. It is perfectly okay for you to leave if you know it's a toxic situation. And you know it's toxic when you have to wonder if it's toxic or not. That's it. That's my time. I love you all. Stephanie, thank you again for having me on the platform.
Yes. Thank you so much, CJ. Boy, bye. It's okay to have a spirit of goodbye. So yes, my motto is I can love you from afar. For all of those, you know how we had those hearts. Oh, but I just love him. I can love you from afar. Boy, bye. Girl, bye. We're going to be all right. Yes. Thank you so much, CJ. Change begins with you. How do you move forward? Work on you. Self-care. Seek help. Deal with your past and heal so it doesn't keep resurfacing, and you quit connecting to spirits that are broken where you are broken. Get healed. Okay. Thank you so much. We are going to move forward. We are coming to our last speaker. This has been great. This has been awesome. And we are going to get to the part. We have talked about, do you like you? We've talked about self-image and awareness. We've talked about the signs of recognizing a toxic relationship or a toxic person. We talked about the things we speak and the things that we accept. We've talked about convenience versus covenant. Why am I here? What am I doing here? And now we have talked about it's time to go, the transition. And after we leave, after we do all that, after we've recognized where we've been, where we need to be, and what we are not going to accept, and we decided we are going to walk away, we now need to know how to heal so we can restore and properly function. So this next speaker is Pat Weatherspoon Hall. She is an author. She's a mother. She's a wife. She's a certified Christian life coach and trainer. And she's the founder of Genesis Rejuvenation Center. She has a passion for helping individuals seeking restoration and renewal from hardship and pain. Through this calling, she walks alongside those she serves, providing spiritual insight and guidance as they begin their journey of self-discovery and purpose. Her recent book, Loving Me Back to Life, Letters from My Husband, is available on Amazon, and it's a powerful testament to who she is and what she does. Please help me welcome Mrs. Pat Weatherspoon Hall as she helps us with How Do We Heal?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I think I was starting to get a little dizzy. Every speaker that came up, I was nodding my head because I could see myself in every situation. And so I won't be before you long with the sake of time and to leave a few minutes for Q&A. But how do we heal? First of all, you have to be willing to pick up the pieces that are left behind and make a life out of what remains. You cannot remain in your state of brokenness. You have choices, and choose how you want to live. No one else can make that decision for you. Enduring a season of brokenness can be a devastating journey, as we've heard from all of us, a little bit from each speaker tonight. It might leave you feeling helpless and alone. We were not created to be alone, as God is always with us. 1 Corinthians 1:9 states, God is faithful, who has called you into fellowship with his Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. You were created to be in communion with God, and through him, a broken vessel can be mended. Mending and healing requires a little bit of guidance, a lot of patience, and intentional work. And I'm going to say that last part again, intentional work. Without work and faith, there cannot be restoration. You are not destined to remain in your state of brokenness. God uses our brokenness as part of his ordained purpose for your life. Our ordained purpose for your life. You must become whole again in order to receive his calling. Do not let fear or procrastination keep you from living out your purpose. Fear keeps you chained to that brokenness. I'm going to share with you 3 steps needed to help begin that healing journey and that restoration to wholeness within God's time and for his purpose. The first one is to surrender. And I know we've heard that word earlier today. And I'm not talking about surrendering to our partner or our spouse, to a situation or a circumstance. I'm talking about surrendering to the Lord. And this step requires help from the Holy Spirit, because in this step, all of the topics that were spoken previously, this is where you're going to find those answers. Do I love me? Am I toxic? This is where you're going to get deep down, and the Lord is going to minister to you. During my state of brokenness, I didn't recognize who I was. I was living on those labels of what other people had told me I was: wife, mother, child, friend, whatever that may be. I heard those words, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, things like that. But I had to be broken enough to come to the Lord and call on him so that he can show me some things about myself. I didn't love me, but I can tell you today, I love me some me. So, but I also love the Lord. But I took that time to begin that healing and that restoration. And that is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. The second step is forgive. And I know right now, some of us don't want to hear that. That also will take some time. But for if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. And that's in Matthew 6:14. Forgiveness is not always easy, but it's needed. And it's not only to forgive a person, but it's also the situation at hand. You also need to forgive yourself. Now, forgiving of ourselves does not mean that everything that has happened in our lives is our fault. It means that you're giving yourself a little bit of grace. God gives us grace. You need to be able to give yourself some grace as well. So we need to be able to forgive. Okay. And the last thing is to love. Yes, that part. Give yourself permission to love again. And I was able to do that. As Stephanie mentioned earlier, I am an author and I wrote the book, Loving Me Back to Life, Letters to My Husband. It was at a point in my life where I realized that God was showing me how far he has taken me from where my brokenness was and where I am to this point. And I was able to let someone love me again. And it took some time. And you have to be willing, as I stated at the beginning, to do the work with some guidance. You can get to that point. It may take years, but you have to be able to be whole again in order to receive and live out your purpose in life. And we go into more details of that in my seminar next week, the Healing from Brokenness seminar, Transforming from the Inside Out. So those are just a few of the steps that will help usher in the healing process. And we will go deeper into that if you're attending that seminar next week. But all of the ladies have before me have touched on some of that. So if you're wanting some extra detail on that, reach out to Stephanie and we can get you some more information. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak, and this has been a great opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ms. Pat. We appreciate that. I just want to recap as we're getting ready to close. She said a few things. First of all, the main thing that I heard her say, you have to be ready to work, intentionally work to get to your place of healing. I always say, Songbird, we always say, you are not your trauma. You are not the things that happen to you. We are going to experience trauma. That's a given if we're in this life, and it affects everyone different. But you are in control on how you let it affect you. Yes, it happened to me. I'm not discounting that something happened, but how is it going to affect me? So that's what you have to look at. If you want to heal, it doesn't have to affect you in a negative way. You have control over that. God did not destine for it to happen without a purpose for you. So intentionally work, surrender to the Lord, forgive others, but most importantly, forgive yourself, and give yourself permission to love you, to let others love you. And it is a process. You know, my question is, do you know where you are in your healing? You got to be self-aware. You got to know where you are. You got to know where your triggers are. And that way you keep yourself guarded. Those are those boundaries that London was talking about earlier. So as we're getting ready to close, again, I want to thank everyone that joined us today in talking about toxic relationships. We're going to put some information in the chat for you for every one of the speakers that were on today. Again, we wanted this to be a safe place. If you're sitting here, I know this is a lot of information to take in. If you're sitting here, if you're recognizing, again, I am in something toxic, or you may recognize I myself am toxic and I need some help. We have a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of resources that we want to share with you. I encourage you, at this point, begin the progress. Are you ready, to make a change? Are you ready for the change? Is this where you need to, this is your safe place? You need to create a safe place for you and your children. What does that look like? I would begin there. And what is my first step? We got to start somewhere. And so today, I always want to leave with a challenge. If you are on the line today, if you are listening from YouTube Live or Facebook, and you see yourself, if this information hit you upside your head, meaning everything was firing on the inside of you, you can check off the box because this is your situation. I'm going to encourage you to contact one of the ladies that were on the line today. You can go to the Songbird and me at gmail.com. You can directly contact Songbird and we will get you the support that you need. We don't want anybody to be left without resources. That is why we do this. We're not doing this just so you can hear words. We're not doing this just so you can, say, oh, that was the coolest song, or the coolest spoken word, or that, yeah, that's good for you to take notes. But what are you going to do to make the change? And that's what we're here. We want to be that catalyst of change for you. Songbird is about being the mouthpiece and standing in the gap for those that are not able to speak for themselves. So if you are in a situation, if you need support, that is what we are here for. So please contact the Songbird and me at gmail.com. You can go online to the songbirandme.com and contact us, and we will direct you there to a resources or get the support that you need. So again, thank you all for joining us. I'm going to ask that our technical host would put us on, I think it's gallery view. I'm still trying to learn all of this, this technology, but put us on gallery view. And if you guys are able to turn on your cameras, let me see if I can go together. Maybe it's me that's not on gallery view. There it is. All right. If you are still on the line with us, can you turn on your cameras? I love to see everybody's faces. Oh, look at the beautiful people. Look at all the beautiful people. All the beautiful faces. Yes, thank you all so much. Look at all the beautiful people. Some people are not turning their, that's all right. I know who y'all are. I see y'all names. It's all right. That's all right. I'm gonna text her, send y'all an email. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. I again hope that something was said that you can take with you to transform your life, restore your life. I speak blessings upon blessings over you. I cover your families now. In the name of Jesus, that there will be no backlash. This is going to be your new beginning. This is going to be your new day. This information, you will take it and you will go forth into your destiny and into your purpose. So thank you so much for joining the Songbird and Me speakers, all my ladies, all my sister, all my daughter-in-law. Thank y'all so much. If y'all were, if we were able to come together, we'd have food and cool. We'll do it up big, right? Yeah, we do it up big. So yes, thank y'all so much. We will put the replay on Facebook. We'll probably send the replay out for those that registered on Eventbrite if you want to watch it again, or you can go online to YouTube and subscribe to the Songbird and Me, and you can watch it there. So until next time, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you all. Be blessed. Have a beautiful week. Stay safe and stay well. God loves you. I love you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Blessings. Good night.